Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of Strange Times Poetry Broadcast. I'm so glad that you're joining me here live at the Poetry Bookshelf. We air every night at 8 p.m., so if you want to see more episodes, please like us on Facebook. So today I'm going to be sharing three uplifting poems. One by Sappho, as translated by Anne Carson in the wonderful collection of her fragments called If Not Winter. Sappho's fragments, that is. Um, One poem by Paul Latran, and one poem by myself. And the theme today is another one that's more image based, which is birds. And um, thus the title, Why is Hope a Thing with Feathers? That's a reference to an Emily Dickinson poem, but I'm not going to read that one today. Um, and I was just been thinking about how in this time, um, for people who have suffered trauma in their lives, it's very difficult to be in this moment because I think it just kicks those past traumas up. No matter what's going on in the present, it's getting combined with those past experiences, and it can be a really hard time. Um, and in each of these poems, the birds are sort of their they're messengers of the future and of things, and they're both messengers of the future, things to come that are, sort of free of the situation, but they also serve as, creatures that can float and navigate in the invisible, in the unpredictable. Um, Birds are, you know, that's their wheelhouse. All right. So the first poem that I'm going to read is from If Not Winter. You can see I've just really enjoyed everything in this book. Um, and it's by Sappho, but it's translated by Anne Carson. And you should definitely check this one out at your library or as an ebook. Um, Sappho, very few of her full poems survive, but we have some fragments. And that's what I'm going to be reading right now. Messenger of spring, nightingale with a voice of longing. Yeah. Messenger of spring, nightingale with a voice of longing. I love that. Kind of imagine the rest of the poem that could come from that one. All right. My next poem is called Against Redemption, and it's by Paula Tran, and it appeared in Winter Tangerine. Paula is a friend from Lambda, who I was so glad to meet, and they're also Ruth Lilly Scholar. They have a lot of amazing poems, so you should definitely check out their website. All the information is in the description. Against Redemption. For so long, I envied the engineering of birds, descendants of dinosaurs, original refugees. They survived millions of years on this planet, saw it burn and rise from its delicious burning. They saw the first humans, the first civilizations, Eve in the garden with Adam, her industrious resolve, his ignorance not even aware of its ignorance, the tree of knowledge of good and evil towering over them. They were there, perched among the vermilion branches, talons digging into its bark, beaks already shoved into its sweet and sour fruit. Birds who knew more about humanity than humanity, who revealed to us, to Charles Darwin, our lore of evolution, of natural selection, that great myth, survival of the fittest. I envied your proximity to history during ninth grade physics, when Mr. Majors had our class build and launch bottle rockets on the soccer field to master the key properties of gravity, of aerodynamics, though I'm sure he knew we'd never be masters of anything, not even our bodies, our primary sin. Still, I memorized you, your kingdom and phylum, your extraordinary design. I figured you out so well I didn't need to copy off of Stephanie's exam. Kept quiet when Mr. Majors caught her passing answers to someone else and expelled her to the principal's office. Made an example of her the way Adam shamed Eve for seeking and comprehending what he didn't, the way later that year we shamed the biology teacher for reportedly sneaking off with the geometry teacher because we were just kids, unfamiliar with love, what it presents as, what it could mean. Birds, I envied you so deeply I forgot the anathema of wings, of always thrusting forward and through the always changing world, untethered and homeless, unable to touch or hold another hand, to feel inside a wound and cauterize it. I forgot the pain of harboring an ancient intelligence, even as I walk by you, pigeons scavenging popcorn outside the Pearl, all those summers on my way to a laboratory on North Broad Street in Philadelphia, where I cultured DU 145 brain cells in petri dishes the size of quarters with fetal bovine serum containing special plasma proteins inhibiting the adhesion of cell surface receptors found responsible for malignant prostate cancer. Split them with the tip of my mechanical pipette to test if they might metastasize and migrate like boat people across the divide or resign to apoptosis, cell death. Hypothesis. If neurons in my brain aren't replaced when they die, then I'll never forget the hand sliding open the shower door, the hand pointing to a bed in a cold garage, the hand tightening a belt around my neck or groping me in a crowded nightclub, fingers thick and salty in my mouth. The independent and dependent variables being what? Birds. I envied you precisely because of that part of me never wanting to be touched again. Did I learn nothing from you in high school, in Mrs. Garcia's English class, where we read Homer and Ovid, who told me of Philomela taken by Tereus into the woods and raped, her tongue cut, her body left there to spoil until the gods turned her into a nightingale, a swallow, tongueless birds with and without song, wandering the world to testify, to name her assault and her assailant. I'm not saying I deserve divine mercy. I'm saying, perhaps, like Eve, like Philomela, I too wanted prayer and protest, salvation and suffering, heaven, brutal and beautiful as hell, all the provinces of human experience, freedom and the folly of freedom, the fallacy of image and science. I wanted the fruit inside the fruit, succulent seed I bury in soft ground to grow another tree of the knowledge of good and evil, another orchard of knowing and unknowing, where I run naked but for my snakeskin coat, my feathered hair, where I run through wind so fast I become wind, and it feels like flying. I just love that one. I love how they become the bird at the end. Speaker, where I run naked but for my snakeskin coat. So fast I become wind, and it feels like flying. All right. And for my last poem, I'm going to read Dear by myself. If you want to read more of my books, definitely check out The Evolution of Parasites by Sibling Rivalry Press. This poem is about um, experience, good or bad, sort of trying to praise it, and you'll see how the birds come in. But once again, the birds sort of have agency in this unknown, difficult time. They're able to pierce through it. Dear, praise your singed leg hair, your ash-dipped fingers, the remains that won't wash off, not that night, not even the next morning, as you walk through the field and comb your hands through wet corn. Birds dive, arrows to your head and back. You step near their young or their dead, but you can't see them. The cornstalks heave and bow, holding on to the wind for dear life. Yeah. Sometimes you have to praise the remains, whatever they may be. They're not washing off. And when I think about, about how we're dealing with trauma in the past and incorporating, all that into our present moment, the remains don't wash off, but you have to praise it. You have to walk. You have to find those things that fly through it. I hope you're staying safe and stay sane. Good night. Bye.